Hey guys, Harry here from Speedy Feet. I'm here in our makeshift studio. We've been moving around the warehouse and kind of reorganizing some things. So we've kind of got this makeshift studio whilst we get another one up and running. But it is my last video here today. I've been here over the summer doing some video work, which I'm sure you guys have seen. And we're here and I'm gonna respond and react to some of the moments and the clips from the videos I've been making. So let's get going. This first one is from my first ever day learning how to use a unicycle. First go, here we go. Oh wow. So dramatic. I remember on my first day I wore some new Converses. So I got some Converses for my birthday and I wore them, and on that crash, that one there, it tore a gash into my shoe, which you can still see to this day. So I remember that crash in particular, which is like the first or the second or the third or something like that, thinking, man, next time I'm not going to wear nice shoes, because those the foot plates that you put your feet on, when you come off, I remember thinking, oh, they just scrape the side of my ankle. So there we go. That was one of the crashes. Is Mario helping me out. Mario, I have to say, it was very helpful. This basically took a whole day of filming for this one video on my first day, and Mario just dedicated the entire day to helping me learn how to use this unicycle. Doing things even like this, just helping me ride along, was very, a lot of patience, I think.
If you stay upright, that also helps. It can get a bit dangerous.
Yeah, it can get very dangerous. Look at that spinning out.
Yeah,
I think that was the first moment where I realised, actually, not only could falling off be dangerous, but just, you know, the wheel doing something wrong or you not using it properly, it could just massively whack your feet or something. So I think I kind of approached the wheel a little bit more cautiously after that moment.
Yeah. Hopefully this wheel will survive.
Hopefully, Mario says, hopefully this wheel will survive. Not caring at all for the fact that I've fallen over onto the floor about 4 or 5 times in the day so far. Wait, there we go. Hopefully the wheel survived. And it did, which is good. It's a bit chaotic, isn't it? So there we go. This is me after lunch, I think.
Wish me luck. What a start.
It is funny like, looking at these videos, having, you know, learned how to ride them properly, and you'll see as we go on, but yeah, just the fact that, like, even there I couldn't go like 10 centimeters without, you know, veering off course and into a wall, which is quite cool to see, I suppose, how over the course of the summer, like, I've learned how to do it, and even in the course of the day, I learned how to do it. There we go, look at that, that's better.
There we go.
My hands are out. Try. Oh yeah, instant crash. Oh. So I'm trying not to hit the corners here, because I know if I do, I'm going to knock myself off. Very good, nice. So that that moment there, so after this, I went round and round. The warehouse that we're on has kind of got a bit of a loop. I just went round this loop for ages, and after about 10 minutes or so, not crashing once, this is a little insider knowledge, Mario said, oh, good job, well what we'll do is we'll try you on a different wheel. So I'd been trying on the Ninebot, and then Mario comes along and says, hey, look, you haven't crashed it, you'll be fine, so I'm going to try you on the MCM5, which is like slightly bit more fancy, a little bit more expensive. But it's quicker, and it's got a little bit more torque, and it's got like a lot more of more power basically to it. So I get through the whole loop fine, but that moment where you just saw me there wobbling around 3 corners, I get past all those 3 corners, and then I accelerate too quickly out of this one, and right where you see me by the wall here, I just drive I ride the wheel straight into the wall, and you just hear it scratching along the floor. And what's funny is Mario had said, look, whatever happens, do not crash this wheel. and I just stood there and thought, I wonder if he heard that, considering he's, you know, way off in one of the other rooms, and he had, and that was a little bit awkward. But it was fine. You kind of wipe it down, and you can even replace the pan if you think you have to. But I just that moment at literally hitting that corner right there was quite funny. So this is me talking about one of the problems I had, which is that if you don't put your foot, when you push off with one foot. If you don't put your second foot on well, like I did there, you're basically screwed for the whole rest of the ride. But if you place it well, then you'll be fine. And this is me, that was me just talking through some of the tips that I'd learned over the course of that day, speeding through it. It is funny looking back, and you know, over the course of that whole day, I did manage to kind of get to this point where I can ride it without crashing. But I did crash it quite a few times. I actually counted, and on the first day I crashed it 22 times, which is a little bit awkward. So I would recommend, if you're like me and you're not super good at these sorts of things, if you're going to buy a new wheel, yeah, just make sure you don't, you know, you have some practice on one that you don't mind scratching before you buy a nice fancy one, because hey, you might fall off 22 times, in which case you might have a bit of a broken wheel by the end of it all. But there we go. This is on to the second day now.
Hey guys, here we are. First ever ride out. I got pretty confident last time I tried one of these indoors, but we're here in the forest, and let's see how it goes.
I love that. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, a bit nervous. And to be fair, rightly so, because like I think that, you know, it's a massive difference riding riding on the wheel on kind of tarmac or concrete or whatever, then going outside to just gravel. Gravel here, and then you kind of get into the mud and the woods and stuff. It's a different riding experience, and this is a different wheel as well. So we'll see how that goes. There we go. So far, so good. Oh. So it took me a little while, but I think on this ride I really felt like, you know what, I can see why people would want these to go around outside, because they do give you this like bit of mobility that you just wouldn't get in anything else. There's a little crash there. I did that a few times. I kind of put my foot on it thinking, right, let's push off, let's go. Unicycle wasn't on. Yeah, that got captured on camera. Awkward. Nice, that's slow motion there. Oh, nice splash, I like that.
On the extreme trails.
Even when I stop, even when I'm not even moving, it can still fall over. And this is Ian about to give me a bit of an extreme challenge, although I think I actually suggested it.
Oh, would it? Yeah. He's on the extreme trails. This, though, is just a flat tarmac road, so anyone's confused. He's going to have a go along this rut here. He currently decided to himself, challenging himself.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, first challenge, will he make it through that rut? No.
Just lying on the floor.
Not attempt one then.
That is attempt one. Falling at the first hurdle.
That was the first hurdle, yeah. Second time. Oh, I think I got further that time. This is number 3. Ooh. That looks like it hurt to be, and it did. I remember. Here we go. Oh, and then hand onto the sand or the gravel, rolling over. Yeah, that did hurt. That scratched up my hands here. In fact, hilariously afterwards, only after doing this, Ian was like, "Here, Harry, have some gloves," which is quite funny.
Does that count?
Yeah, we can now.
I did it.
That was me. I'm not doing that again. I think I thought.
3 then, that was
3. Yeah, got it 3. You made it from the start to the finish, not on foot.
No, I didn't. I crossed the finish line, but just in the air rather than
crossing the finish line in the air. There we go, and that's a drone shot for that second day. It was cool. I do really remember that second day, actually. I think I was nervous, because there's a difference, I think, between falling over when you're just out in a warehouse or whatever, where you're just going to slide along the smooth floor, to then trying to ride it off-road for the first time, knowing that actually you've got things like brambles, you've got mud, you've got puddles, you've got all of these things it could potentially fall into. Yeah, that was a nerve-wracking thing. And actually this is maybe one of the main reflections I have over the course of the whole summer, is that doing stuff like this, I think genuinely did push me out of my comfort zone a bit. Because there's an element of risk to it, right? But that second day, I remember starting more nervous than when I'd started the previous day, where I'd actually had to learn how to ride the thing, because I was aware of potentially crashing it and it being worse. But actually at the end of the second day, I remember thinking, no, I can get it, I understand it, I can see why people want to use this, which is quite cool. So that was that. That's the end of the second day.
Hey guys, Harry here from Speedy Feet.
In the studio.
Unicycle here in front of me, but look, it's standing up.
This is the Pro Unicycle Stand video that we did. This makes me laugh when I think about this. We'll see why.
At the Pro Unicycle Stand today, and I suppose the first thing to say is it obviously works. The unicycle is standing, which is, I suppose, a major win.
A major win. It's a major win if it works. I just remembered over the course of this video trying to describe it, but like struggling to find words to properly describe it, which is quite, maybe it just shows off my noviceness of the whole thing. But here we go. Here's, I think, potentially some examples of this.
Starting with your base, you want to take the stand section.
The stand section. The tire tray.
Take out the, I suppose this is also a pin.
A pin with a pin in it.
Take that out and just thread that through the hole onto the other side. Take the second pin and just put it through that hole as well. You'll find that this is completely wobbleable.
Wobbleable? Maybe I should have used the word tilt. It can tilt or something, but no, I went with wobbleable. And this is funny as well, because obviously this stand is on the table, and I'd only constructed it and looked at it and worked with it on the table. I'd never put it on the floor. So obviously the reason why it's wobbleable is so that the wheel can roll in without you having to lift it up. But I just did not clock that. And a few of you noticed that and put it in the comments. But so when I get the wheel,
Ninebot
I lift it all the way up and in.
Absolutely perfect.
Rather than using it the way it's meant to be used.
Another video.
But that's quite funny. But yeah, maybe there's a reflection there of my whole time at Speedy Feet this summer, which is actually just trying to talk about things and trying to kind of think quickly about the ways to describe them, but maybe revealing that I haven't got the most technical vocabulary in the world. So I'm using words like wobbleable and a pin with a pin in it. But there we go. So this is the next video, or one of the next videos that we did with the EX20S.
This time we bring you the EX20S, which is a bit of a monster.
Yeah, it is a monster. I mean, look at it. It's massive, absolutely huge. And by far and away the biggest wheel that I rode at that point. And I think probably the biggest wheel that I rode for the whole thing. But probably also the most impressive wheel. The combination, I think, of the design, which I personally really like, and also the size of it, and also specifically the really good suspension means that this wheel was quite something actually to ride. So I think we can go outside with it now.
We are out in the Forest of Dean to try out the EX20S, and continuing on, this is the sacrificial wheel, which is the
that's how Ian uses what he uses to describe the wheel that I ride on, the sacrificial wheel, the wheel that we don't really mind if it gets beaten up too much, which is quite funny. There's a running theme, maybe you can tell over the course of my time here at Speedy Feet, which is I find new and inventive ways to crash the wheels, which is funny. But yeah, sacrificial wheel.
S20.
That's funny as well. That's an extremely posy photo, or still, I think, but that was not intended whatsoever. Mario was just like, get a still, and we were like, cool, and we were literally sitting there chatting, and that's what we get.
We've got 20 whilst we step out on this as well, and then we're going to do a bit of swapping around. And Harry's all geared up, aren't you?
Yeah.
He's ready to go.
Got my pads.
Bulletproof. He's going to go out on the trails and see how it goes.
So look at Ian coming with all that speed and confidence compared with me. Nice. Oh. You just see that suspension at work in that video, can't you? Really nice. And then me trying to get the same hill. I'm getting there. I'm still a bit wobbly. Do I make it all the way up? Kind of. Maybe I made it all the way up. Not quite sure. This is Ian again.
We've been riding out. It's now Harry's turn to swap over onto the EX20S. I mean, that's what we're reviewing here. So I'm going to hand this lovely beauty, never been crashed, never tried.
I know it's coming.
Great love. Over to Harry, just want to mention that. There you are.
There we go. Let's go on the EX20S. No, never been crashed. Never, not a single speck of dust or dirt on it that shouldn't be there. And oh, yeah. There we go. And you gotta laugh. To be fair, that was probably one of the only times. No, there was the second time I crashed it, and that's maybe the most embarrassing. But riding it was good fun, and you can really feel the suspension taking the bumps, taking the weight out of what you're riding, and the power of it was impressive as well. Like, it felt like it had a lot of power between your legs to be able to go and get up the hills and go quickly and respond to what's around you. So like I said, it was definitely the most impressive wheel that I used. And I think here's another. So I'm losing control and oh, another crash. This is a good crash though. I think this is cool. You watch it in slow motion. You see that? I like rip off some of the tree bark as I fall over, which is quite cool.
Hey guys, Harry.
And there we go. That was the end of the EX20S video. So going from that EX20S into this, which is the InMotion V12 high torque, no suspension critically. So before riding this wheel, the immediate wheels that I had been using before that all had suspension, which I think affected actually my confidence riding this one. But here we go.
From Speedy Feet, we have the InMotion V12 high torque wheel with you today, and as you can see, there's a few bumps and scratches on it, and that's because last week we took this wheel out into the woods and we had to go. We did a range test, and I was riding it, and let's say there were a few falls.
Ooh!
I tried to not.
That was bad. That was bad. Although that wasn't the worst. Actually, on that hill, so it's funny when you film things, the hills don't look as steep as they actually are in reality, or we feel them to be. And that was quite a steep track, not kind of good terrain at all. Going down there a bit further up, there was a moment where I completely lost control. I went into some brambles, and this thing just kept on going. I laugh, but it's not good because obviously it's an expensive piece of kit. But I think, and actually this is, I'm going to return back to this sense of like over the course of the summer, actually me being pushed outside of my comfort zone. Like some of these things that I did, like going down this track, for example, I never normally would have done. And arguably you could say that was beyond my skill level, but at the same time, I think actually doing it got me, you know, experience and kind of pushed me beyond where I was. And I think potentially some of those crashes are a reflection on that, on the fact that I try to push myself, or even was pushed by like Mario and Ian, to kind of go beyond my comfort zone a little bit. But yeah, like maybe that might explain why there was a few scratches on there that maybe shouldn't have been scratches.
Do it. I really enjoyed using this wheel out in the woods, but I did find that there were a few little gripes that I had. The first thing is that the power on button just is in an inconvenient
place, yeah.
It means that
the inconvenient power on button, inconvenient, I think I meant. And it's funny actually, you know, like one of the reasons why I think I was kind of brought in was to try and have this perspective on some of the wheels that was kind of a bit amateurish. So actually, if you're new to riding those wheels, like how is it, what does it feel like, what's some of the things you experience and encounter? And this actually, like I stand by it, this was actually a bit of an annoyance, a genuine annoyance for me. And for me as an amateur, because when you stop, or when I would stop, I would end up kind of putting my hands around the side of the wheel to hold it whilst I got off or whilst I got on. But if you put your hands like this over the side of the wheel, your thumb is immediately over the power on button. So for example, I would stop, maybe not particularly neatly, and my hand hovering over the power on button means that actually I kind of suddenly stopped or needed to kind of emergency stop or whatever, hopped off, put my hands over it to kind of grab it with my thumb immediately over the button, and it would get pressed. And maybe actually this is something, you know, or definitely actually, if you were a bit more accomplished, if you're a bit more of a pro, someone like Ian, he would never have that kind of problem. But it's only purely because I'm kind of experiencing things like a little bit of an amateur, a little bit of a novice, that means that was a critique that I had, because I found myself having to kind of emergency stop a few times, and then emergency stopping would find myself accidentally turning it on or off or whatever else. But yeah, so that was the inconvenient button.
Turning it on accidentally.
Yeah, no. There we go. But having said that, like, with that video in particular, I was 2 or 3 critiques, and the rest of it, for me at least, was really positive. And apart from the fact this didn't have suspension, because I think I was used to the suspension of the EX20S and the other wheels, actually this was a good wheel, and I really enjoyed using it. And I think if there is a single day that I'm probably going to remember the most over the time that I've spent here at Speedy Feet, it's probably this one, where we went out and we range tested this V12. And I think just a combination of using the wheel and really enjoying using it, and also the kind of beautiful surroundings, just meant that this was really a special day, I think. This is also the first proper video that I kind of almost fully edited, so I'm kind of particularly like this one. So it's a beautiful day, nice and warm. Going around these footpaths was just so nice. And no one else was around as well. Yeah, and this moment was really, really special. So we're kind of going around, and I'm, you know, for the majority of the day, we're just basically riding and filming it a little bit as we go. But there's a few moments where we think, this is really nice. What we're going to do is we're going to stop, we're going to get the proper camera out, we're going to set that up, and then we'll get a nice shot. And most of the time we're just using a GoPro or a 360 camera. So we stop, Mary goes ahead, gets this good camera out, sets it up perfectly framed, as you can tell. And I'm just waiting around, and then he says, you know, come on over. So you come on over, and then this happens, completely on stage, obviously, but so, yeah, really special. This is really cool. That moment with the deer kind of jumping out, it almost couldn't have been a better shot. But what's fun is as he comes out of the undergrowth, you see him kind of almost as if he's about to come towards the camera, and then he like spots Mario, and then he kind of, or she kind of changes direction to jump across rather than come up. But yeah, that was a really cool moment that I had over the course of the day. And there we go. That is, there we go. That's the video. I have to say, like, I think it's really interesting watching those videos through again and reflecting on my time at Speedy Feet. I definitely do feel like it has pushed me out my comfort zone. Learning how to use these wheels and, you know, being aware of the risks, but being aware of actually if you don't try and push it, you're not going to get better. And, you know, if you're here and you're thinking, actually, I'm a new rider, I'm a little bit not very confident, I'm a bit cautious. You obviously don't want to be stupid, you know, make sure you wear pads, which I didn't at the beginning, and that was stupid. Make sure you wear a helmet. But try and push it a little bit, or have someone else try and encourage you to push it, because actually if you don't push it, then you're just never going to get beyond, or it's going to take a long time for you to get beyond kind of your current level. So I think that actually, yeah, this kind of experience of trying these wheels, learning how to use them, learning how each one is different from the other, and actually, you know, each wheel is different, but also every terrain is different. Wherever you're using it is different, and the weather and the conditions are going to be different as well. And so being aware that actually that changes, all of those variables change how you ride them. And I suppose it's been interesting for me, seeing as I've not kind of learned on a wheel and then stuck with that wheel for a long time. It's kind of, I learned on a wheel, I rode it for a bit, and then I moved on to the next one, and then the next one. So I had a little bit of exposure to a lot of wheels, whereas most people probably have a kind of, you know, exposure to one wheel that you ride for a long time. You know, if you've bought it and you kind of ride it for a few years, and then you'll move on to another one, or you'll change, or you'll swap, or whatever it might be. So yeah, that was kind of fun. I do think I've really enjoyed it, actually. I have really enjoyed learning how to use these wheels, and like I said, you know, for me, the benefit of these wheels is going out and about on the kind of off-road trails and stuff. It is a kind of getting around that you just don't have in any other way, in any other capacity. You know, I understand that, you know, using it in cities, using it for commuting and stuff, and that works for some people, and I'm like, great, go for it. But for me personally, if there's something that I would say that I feel like I've really connected with these wheels, it's definitely been riding them out and about. Especially because they're not noisy, that you can go out and you can enjoy the surroundings, and it's not like you've got an engine beneath your feet or whatever. It's quiet and it's nice. So yeah, so those are some of my kind of closing reflections, I suppose. I'm really grateful for the time I've had, and I've had a good time. So I hope you all have enjoyed this video. I hope that you come back. We're going to hopefully have a new kind of studio and stuff, but I won't be here because I'm going to be moving on. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have a good week. Goodbye.